with my life. What was I thinking not doing this case do vid sooner? Now that she's been anointed queen of the leather jacket, let's take a look back at her previous work. This shot of them riding this horse together, gayest I've ever seen in my life. They show every bit of that true story. All 40 whacks of it. This was the first time I ever really saw Kristen excel comedically. Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm addicted to flames. This is supposed to be way cooler than it went. This is my really gay YouTube channel. Kristen has 55 acting credits on her IMDb page. The first movie she ever acted in was in 1999. It's been 22 years since that first gig, an uncredited role on a movie called The 13th Year. She's been doing this a long time, and she has some very impressive titles on her resume.
No, guys, honestly, yeah, I'm so excited.
Ranking them from worst to best, here are Kristen's top 10 roles. I have a quick honorable mention, and that's The Runaways, one of Kristen's first kind of like meaty, more challenging roles. I remember my reaction to this movie being like underwhelmed, and yet when I rewatch scenes now, I'm kind of more into it. Is that because she's a lesbian? Yes. Certain Women. Despite the fact that the first hour of this film is Kristen Stewart-less, it does make the list just barely. The movie takes place in Montana and early on takes on a bleak tone. It don't look nothing like those beautiful ads I see all over the buses and trains in Chicago. I did not know that whole ass states paid for advertisements in other states, sandwiched between a vodka ad and like somebody's graffiti spray painted a dick on the wall. It's like, families welcome in Montana. The movie's basically 3 short films wrapped up into one, based on 3 different short stories from Malay Malloy's collections Half in Love and Both Ways is the Only Way I Want It. Even though it's bleak in the way it's shot, when this rancher is doing her morning duties, they show the most beautiful shots of these Montana purple mountains. And holy shit, if this shot of them riding this horse together isn't the gayest I've ever seen in my life. It's kind of a stretch for me to put this on the list, to be honest. The short film that Kristen Stewart's in is really more about the rancher who becomes enamored with her than it is her character, who is a lawyer having to travel long distance to the town where the rancher lives in. But I honestly refuse to put any of her basic girlfriend roles on this list. That might offend some people, and that's okay. Honestly, the roles where she plays like the girlfriend are just not her meatiest roles anyways, and I find myself bored by a lot of them, even though she may perform some of them well. Into the Wild. When I watched Into the Wild, I immediately went out and got the book by Jon Krakauer, based on a true story about a young man who burns all of his cash on the side of the highway and hitchhikes across America, ended up in Alaska trying to survive off the land. The acting in this film is just like so high quality, and that includes Kristen Stewart. Oh my god, I literally had an Into the Wild phase in my mid-20s. I was living with my parents and I would go out camping by myself, and I was scared in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma, off like, pitching a tent off some lake. I would spend half the time sleeping in my car because I was afraid like the rape bears were gonna come get me, Kristen's role in this movie is to play a young woman he meets later on in the movie after he's been traveling on the road for a while. She lives in a community in the middle of the desert filled with trailers and RVs. There's this really cool moment where she's performing a song with Emile Hirsch. Probably my favorite part of the movie. She doesn't get much screen time, but the time she does gets, you really kind of fall in love with her. At times overpowers Emile Hirsch, who is a phenomenal actor. Clouds of Sils Maria. Clouds of Sils Maria has Kristen portraying the first of 2 different personal assistant roles she will be playing on this list. Filmed in 2013, this is the last movie, in my opinion, where she really still kind of looks like a kid. At first, when I started watching this, it was kind of hard to get lost in her character because I almost didn't find it believable that somebody as young as her would have this job, this like important job of being a personal assistant. Maybe it's because movies and TV so often use like 30-year-olds to portray teenagers. I remember being a young child and the show 90210 had like people that looked like they were in their 40s in high school. This movie is interesting. It at times meanders, but bonus points for getting to see beautiful shots of the Alps. Kristen isn't the star of this film, but she does a really good job nonetheless. Eventually, I forgot about that whole young thing and became really invested in the relationship between her and her boss. She works well with Juliette Binoche, whose name I'm probably butchering right now. And the only disappointing thing, we probably don't get enough Kristen Stewart in this movie. Lizzie. Remember that old Lizzie Borden nursery rhyme you'd hear as a kid or sometimes sing yourself? It was half make your friends laugh, half make them their pants. Well, that up nursery rhyme is based on a up true story. And like any good true story, we got a great movie about it. To refresh your memory, in 1892, Lizzie Borden supposedly hacked her parents to death with a hatchet. One of the theories revolving around why she did it involves her having a romantic relationship with their housemaid Bridget. And that's where this movie comes in. Chloe Sauvignon plays Lizzie Borden. Kristen plays the housemaid who is the victim of Lizzie Borden's father's brutal nightly rapes. Indeed, if the real-life Andrew Borden was even half as evil as this movie's Lizzie Borden father character, then I would say he got away pretty easy. Maybe he should have been hacked a few more times. Donning an Irish accent, Stewart shines through all the ugliness when her romance with Lizzie develops. There's this moment when they like almost kissed, and I swear it was like watching Kristen Stewart give a master class on creating sexual tension. By the time they actually do kiss, you're like, ah! Explosions! Fireworks everywhere! Bombs in the air! Lord of the Rings! All 3 movies! It kind of reminded me of the first time I kissed a girl. In the end, the movie is mostly fascinating because it's based on a true story, and my God, do they show every bit of that true story, like all 40 whacks of it as far as the stepmom's concerned. Don't watch this alone. Don't do it. It's like when you do shrooms. You can't do it alone. You gotta have somebody there to supervise. J.T. Leroy. J.T. Leroy is a 2018 drama where Kristen plays a shy young woman who for 6 years pretends to be her sister-in-law's fictional literary persona. The fact that this actually happened is nutso. In the film, we watch Kristen don a blonde wig and transform into the awkward, mumbly, southern accented J.T. Leroy, which J.T. stands for Jeremiah Terminator, by the way. I mean, I can't really think of anything better suited for Kristen than like awkward, anxious teenage boy. It starts out really serious, then gets like kind of silly, then gets sad and serious again in the end. This movie is so weird. The next time you get really, turn on J.T. Leroy and follow K-Stu down the rabbit hole. Camp X-Ray. If at first it's hard to believe someone who looks as anxious as Kristen Stewart would fare well in a military-like situation, about a quarter of the way through the movie, your fears become fully realized because the answer is, not well. Look, I don't know why I have this movie on the list. It's not a particularly pleasant movie to watch, but this list is her best roles, not her fluffiest happy times roles. It felt appropriate to include it because she's phenomenal in it. She nails it so hard that I had to fast forward through the scene where her supervisor tries to assault her. It just was too believable. That being said, it is a very compelling movie. She portrays a guard at Guantanamo Bay who forms an unlikely friendship with one of the detainees, as they're told they have to refer to them. They can't refer to them as prisoners. Prisoners have rights. These detainees don't. In my opinion, this is Kristen's first big performance that was really well done and high quality. Happiest season. Honestly, I probably don't have to tell you about Happiest season. If you're watching a Kristen Stewart video on YouTube, you've probably heard of Happiest season. It's like asking a butch lesbian if she's heard of toolboxes. She's heard of them. Put it pretty high up on the list because I just love Kristen in this role. I love her scenes with Aubrey Plaza. The movie isn't perfect. A lot of the fans weren't happy necessarily with the way it went, but it deserves a place on this list. I did a whole review of Happiest season if you would like to check that out. Seberg. You may not even be aware Kristen starred in this biopic about an American actress and Black Panthers activist named Jean Seberg, because I certainly wasn't. I'm assuming they spent like every last dime in the budget on securing Kristen Stewart, because there was zero promotion for this movie in my memory, and it is available to stream on Amazon Prime. In Seberg, Stewart handles the spotlight of portraying this American actress who is beloved, but inside, wanting to do something real and make a change in her country and her world with absolute ease. Her performance is so sophisticated and poignant. I wondered if when she read the script, she maybe saw some parallels with her own life. Not that Kristen Stewart is being persecuted by the FBI. But for the longest time, Kristen Stewart was the Twilight girl or the girlfriend of Robert Pattinson. I just very much see her as kind of a modern version of Jean Seberg in her early career days. So I'm not surprised at all that she kills it in this movie. If anything, this movie is an important watch so you can get a real feel for history, for how, political sabotage could take place within our own government, within our own FBI. The smear of Jean Seberg was ordered by J. Edgar Hoover, our country's president. It is fascinating, it's historic, and it's a really well-made movie. Personal Shopper. Personal Shopper is a psychological thriller that starts off all croissants and baguettes and ends all make you your pants scary. A lot of what makes it beautiful is the drawn out scenes, the long winding scenes, and hearing the noises, people like the floorboard creaking underneath people's footsteps. I found a lot of those moments to be very fascinating and engaging in this film. In Personal Shopper, Kristen has her second role as a personal assistant to a celebrity, this time a younger, annoying actress named Kira. She plays Maureen, who recently lost her twin brother. They are both mediums and had made a pact that if either of them died, the other would contact them from the afterlife. I think I like this movie because of all the day-to-day aspects they show. Some scenes are literally her just doing her job as a personal shopper, which you wouldn't think is that interesting, but it's shot so beautifully and Kristen's character is just so interesting. Let's face it, she's really great at doing nothing with the camera on her. Like a scene of Kristen Stewart just thinking is like, mwah, chef's kiss. Like, I don't know about y'all directors out there, which I'm sure are watching this, but if I'm a director, I'm sitting here behind the camera going, okay, just do that thing where you think. Action. And cut. I think that's our Oscar right there. That was her. That was your Oscar performance, Kristen. It was very bite your lip without physically biting your lip. It's not easy portraying a medium, okay? Typically when we hear that word, for me, I think of that crazy phone psychic lady that famously went bankrupt or whatever. And this movie kind of got me reconsidering my thoughts on mediums. Kristen glides into the role with so much ease, and there are moments in the movie where she's looking for her brother's spirit, and that got me because I was looking around my computer going, did you come through the computer screen? Are you with me now, spirit? She absolutely nailed this role, and it was a meaty, juicy, multi-dimensional, beautifully shot movie. I'm so happy with how this turned out. Obviously, that's why I have it so high on the list. Charlie's Angels. It may come as no shock to you that a lesbian YouTuber who watched this scene,
Sabina. Italian.
ranked Stewart's role in Charlie's Angels at the top of my list. This was the first time I ever really saw Kristen excel comedically in a film.
I'm a murderer.
Oh, no! Collateral damage. I wouldn't take that on.
The point is,
This moment in the heat of the action where she's approached by a random bad guy and she says, it's probably one of the funniest action scene moments I've ever seen. She really owns this movie from a character and casting standpoint. And not that the rest of the cast is anything to sleep on, like they all do great, but she shines so bright. She really blazes by all of them with her comedic timing and her charm. Also, bonus gay points for getting to see her in a hot pink jockey uniform, galloping on a horse like she's riding a gay rainbow to the finish line. That was my favorite Sabina costume, until about 5 seconds later when I saw her come on screen with this. What do you think the script called for in that scene? Like, modified Princess Leia. I was continually impressed by the amount of cool this movie contains, a lot of it pioneered by Kristen Stewart herself, but the real reason this movie tops the list is this scene right here. That's right, a gay dancing scene towards the end of the movie. I'm done. That's it. That's the best one. I'm sorry, this is the best one. Nothing else she'll never top. Nothing else tops it. It's the best. I'm sorry, but Kristen Stewart's character Sabina is just one of the most memorable characters she's ever done. It's such a delight departure from a lot of her like angsty, shy, depressing films. Okay, this concludes my top 10 Kristen Stewart roles. If you think I missed something, which I probably did, like I said, she has 55 acting credits, let me know in the comments if you think I put something on here that sucks. Let me know that too. Alright, it's getting late at night and I'm gonna go play with fire.